Well, hello, Northwest. We've made it to Friday, and yes, today is Friday. I know sometimes the days seem to blend into each other, but I know that mom and dad are definitely happy to get to the weekend where they can be just about family. So here's to Friday. We've got a cherry vanilla Coke Zero for today. Again, don't drink it. Soda is bad for you. In the background, you can hear music by Bill Withers, who unfortunately passed today. He is a great singer and composer, and we're going to miss him. So I'm going to turn down Bill Withers a little bit. So you will recall yesterday, we started off with investigating monster donuts and ran into the Hydra, and it looked like our heroes were in real trouble until a Civil War ironclad, captained by Clarice, Ares' daughter, showed up and blew it away. So now they are traveling with Clarice, and they don't know where things are at with Clarice because Clarice apparently went to the Oracle and the Oracle said something. We don't know what, but it probably upset her because Clarice gets upset very easily. So they went to their cabins and we're going to see what happens. In addition, we had another vision of Grover and Polyphemus realized that Grover was unraveling the wedding dress. So now the time is getting very thin. So we begin with our heroes on Clarice's ship. I woke to alarm bells ringing throughout the ship. The captain's gravelly voice. All hands on deck. Find Lady Clarice. Where is that girl? Then his ghostly face appeared above me. Get up, Yankee. Your friends are already above. We are approaching the entrance. The entrance to what? He gave me a skeletal smile. The sea of monsters, of course. I stuffed my few belongings that had survived the Hydra into a sailor's canvas knapsack and slung it over my shoulder. I had a sneaking suspicion that one way or another I would not be spending another night aboard the CSS Birmingham. I was on my way upstairs when something made me freeze, a presence nearby, something familiar and unpleasant. For no particular reason, I felt like picking a fight. I wanted to punch a dead Confederate. The last time I felt that kind of anger. Instead of going up, I crept to the edge of the ventilator grate and peered down into the boiler deck. Clarice was standing right below me, talking to an image that shimmered in the steam from the boilers. A muscular man in black leather biker clothes with a military haircut, red tinted sunglasses, and a knife strapped to his side. My fists clenched. It was my least favorite Olympian, Ares, the god of war. I don't want excuses, little girl, he growled. Yes, father. You don't want to see me mad, do you? No, father. No, father, Ares mimicked. You're pathetic. I should have let one of my sons take this quest. I'll succeed, Clarice promised, her voice trembling. I'll make you proud. You'd better, he warned. You asked me for this quest, girl. But if you let that slimeball Jackson kid steal it from you. But the Oracle said, I don't care what it said, Ares bellowed with such force that his image shimmered. You will succeed. And if you don't, he raised his fist. Even though he was only a figure in the steam, Clarice flinched. Do we understand each other? Ares growled. The alarm bells rang again. I heard voices coming towards me, officers yelling orders to ready the cannon. I crept back from the ventilation grate and made my way upstairs to join Annabeth and Tyson on the spar deck. What's wrong? Annabeth asked me. Another dream? I nodded, but I didn't say anything. I didn't know what to think about what I'd seen downstairs. It bothered me almost as much as the dream about Grover. Clarice came up the stairs right after me. I tried not to look at her. She grabbed a pair of binoculars from a zombie officer and peered towards the horizon. At last. Captain, full steam ahead. I looked in the same direction as she was, but I couldn't see much. The sky was overcast. The air was hazy and humid, like steam from an iron. If I squinted real hard, I could just make out a couple of dark, fuzzy splotches in the distance. My nautical senses told me we were somewhere off the coast of northern Florida, so we'd come a long way overnight, farther than any mortal ship should have been able to travel. The engine groaned as we increased speed. Tyson muttered nervously, too much strain on pistons. Not meant for deep water. I wasn't sure how he knew that, but it made me nervous. After a few more minutes, the dark splotches ahead of us came into focus. To the north, a huge mass of rock rose out of the sea, an island with cliffs at least 100 feet tall. About half a mile south of that, the other patch of darkness was a storm brewing. The sky and sea boiled together in a roaring mass. Hurricane? Annabeth asked. No, Clarice said. Charbides. Annabeth paled. Are you crazy? Only way into the Sea of Monsters, straight between Charbides and her sister Scylla. Clarice pointed to the top of the cliffs, and I got the feeling something lived up there that I did not want to meet. What do you mean the only way? I asked. The sea is wide open. Just sail around them. Clarice rolled her eyes. Don't you know anything? If I tried to sail around them, they would just appear in my path again. If you want to go in the Sea of Monsters, you have to sail through them. What about the clashing rocks? Annabeth said. There's another gateway. Jason used it. I can't blow apart rocks with my cannons, Clarice said. Monsters, on the other hand. You are crazy, Annabeth decided. Watch and learn, wise girl. Clarice turned to the captain. Set course for Charbides. Aye, m'lady. The engine groaned, the iron plating rattled, and the ship began to pick up speed. Clarice, Charbides sucks up the sea. Isn't that the story? And spits it back out again. Yeah. What about Scylla? She lives in a cave up on those cliffs. If we get too close, her snaky heads will come down and start plucking sailors off the ship. Choose Scylla then. Everybody goes below deck and we chug right past. No, Clarice insisted. If Scylla doesn't get her easy meat, she might pick up the whole ship. Besides, she's too high to make a good target. My cannons can't shoot straight up. Charbides just sits there at the center of her whirlwind. We're going to steam straight towards her, train our guns on her, and blow her to Tartarus. She said it with such relish, I almost wanted to believe her. The engine hummed. The boilers were heating up so much I could feel the deck getting warm beneath my feet. The smokestacks billowed. The red Ares flag whipped in the wind. As we got closer to the monsters, the sound of Charbides got louder and louder, a horrible wet roar like the galaxy's biggest toilet being flushed. Every time Charbides inhaled, the ship shuddered and lurched forward. Every time she exhaled, we rose in the water and were buffeted by 10-foot waves. I tried to time the whirlpool. As near as I could figure, it took Charbides about 3 minutes to suck up and destroy everything within a half-mile radius. To avoid her, we'd have to skirt right next to Scylla's cliffs. And as bad as Scylla might be, those cliffs were looking awfully good to me. Undead sailors calmly went about their business on the spar deck. I guess they'd fought a losing cause before, so this didn't bother them. Or maybe they didn't care about getting destroyed, because they were already deceased. Neither thought made me feel better. Annabeth stood next to me, gripping the rail. You still have your thermos full of wind? I nodded. But it's too dangerous to use with a whirlpool like that. More wind just might make things worse. What about controlling the water? She asked. You're Poseidon's son. You've done it before. She was right. I closed my eyes and tried to calm the sea, but I couldn't concentrate. Charbides was too loud and powerful. The waves wouldn't respond. I can't, I said miserably. We need a backup plan, Annabeth said. This isn't going to work. Annabeth right, Tyson said. Engine no good. What do you mean? She asked. Pressure. Pistons need fixing. Before he could explain, the cosmic toilet flushed with a mighty roar. The ship lurched forward and I was thrown to the deck. We were in the whirlpool. Full reverse! Waves crashing over the deck. The iron plating was now so hot it steamed. Get us within firing range! Make ready starboard cannons! Dead Confederates rushed back and forth. The propeller grinded into reverse, trying to slow the ship. We kept sliding towards the center of the vortex. A zombie sailor burst out of the hold and ran to Clarice. His gray uniform was smoking. His beard was on fire. Boiler room overheating, ma'am. She's gonna blow. We'll get down there and fix it. Can't, the sailor yelled. We're vaporizing in the heat. Clarice pounded the side of the casemate. All I need is a few more minutes, just enough to get in range. We're going in too fast, the captain said grimly. Prepare yourself for death. No, Tyson bellowed. I can fix. Clarice looked at him incredulously. You? He's a Cyclops, Annabeth said. He's immune to fire, and he knows mechanics. Go, yelled Clarice. Tyson, no, it's too dangerous. He patted my hand. Only way, brother. His expression was determined, confident even. I'd never seen him like this before. I fix it. Be right back. As I watched him follow the smoldering sailor down the hatch, I had a terrible feeling. I wanted to run after him, but the ship lurched again. And then I saw Charbides. She appeared only a few hundred yards away, through a swirl of mist and smoke and water. The first thing I noticed was the reef, a black crag of coral with a fig tree clinging to the top, an oddly peaceful thing in the middle of a maelstrom. All around it, water curved into a funnel like light around a black hole. Then I saw the horrible thing, anchored to the reef just below the waterline, an enormous mouth with slimy lips and mossy teeth the size of rowboats. And worse, the teeth had braces, bands of corroded, scummy metal, with pieces of fish and driftwood and floating garbage stuck between them. Charbides was an orthodontist's nightmare. She was nothing but a huge black maw with bad teeth alignment and a serious overbite. And she'd done nothing for centuries but eat without brushing after meals. As I watched, the entire sea around her was sucked into the void. Sharks, schools of fish, a giant squid, and I realized that in a few seconds, the CSS Birmingham would be next. "Lady Clarice," the captain shouted. "Starboard and forward guns are in range." "Fire," Clarice ordered. 3 rounds were blasted into the monster's maw. One blew off the edge of an incisor. Another disappeared into her gullet. The third one hit one of Charbides' retaining bands and shot back at us, snapping the Ares flag off its pole. "Again," Clarice ordered. The gunners were loaded, but I knew it was hopeless. We would have to pound the monster 100 more times to do any real damage, and we didn't have that long. We were being sucked in too fast. Then the vibrations in the deck changed. The hum of the engine got stronger and steadier. The ship shuddered, and we started pulling away from the mouth. "Tyson did it," Annabeth said. "Wait," Clarice said. "We need to stay close." "We'll die," I said. "We have to move away." I gripped the rail as the ship fought against the suction. The broken Ares flag raced past us and lodged in Charbides' braces. We weren't making much progress, but at least we were holding our own. Tyson had somehow given us just enough juice to keep the ship from being sucked in. Suddenly, the mouth snapped shut. The sea died to absolute calm. Water washed over Charbides. Then, just as quickly as it had closed, the mouth exploded open, spitting out a wall of water, ejecting everything inedible, including our cannonballs, one of which slammed into the side of the CSS Birmingham with a ding like the bell on a carnival game. We were thrown backward on a wave that must have been 40 feet high. I used all of my willpower to keep the ship from capsizing, but we were still spinning out of control, hurtling towards the cliffs on the opposite side of the strait. Another smoldering sailor blew out of the hold. He stumbled into Clarice, almost knocking them both overboard. "The engine's about to blow!" "Where's Tyson?" I demanded. "Still down there," the sailor said, "holding it together somehow, though I don't know for how much longer." The captain said, "We have to abandon ship." "No," Clarice yelled. "We have no choice, m'lady. The hull is already cracking apart. She can't—" She never finished a sentence. Quick as lightning, something brown and green shot from the sky, snatched up the captain, and lifted him away. All that was left were his leather boots. "Scylla!" a sailor yelled, and another column of reptilian flesh shot from the cliffs and snapped him up. It happened so fast it was like watching a laser beam rather than a monster. I couldn't even make out the thing's face, just a flash of teeth and scales. I uncapped Riptide and tried to swipe at the monster as it carried off another deckhand, but I was way too slow. "Everyone get below," I yelled. "We can't," Clarice drew her own sword. "Below deck is in flames." "Lifeboats," Annabeth said. "Quick." "They'll never get clear of the cliffs," Clarice said. "We'll all be eaten." "We have to try. Percy, the thermos." "I can't leave Tyson. We have to get the boats ready." Clarice took Annabeth's command. She and a few of her undead sailors uncovered one of the 2 emergency rowboats, while Scylla's head rained from the sky like a meteor shower with teeth, picking off Confederate sailors one after another. "Get the other boat," I threw Annabeth the thermos. "I'll get Tyson." "You can't," she said. "The heat will kill you." I didn't listen, but I ran for the boiler room hatch, when suddenly my feet weren't touching the deck anymore. I was flying straight up, the wind whistling in my ears, the side of the cliff only inches from my face. Scylla had somehow caught me by the knapsack and was lifting me towards her lair. Without thinking, I swung my sword behind me and managed to jab the thing in her beady yellow eye. She grunted and dropped me. The fall would have been bad enough considering I was 100 feet in the air, but as I fell, the CSS Birmingham exploded below me. The engine room blew, sending chunks of ironclad flying in either direction like a fiery set of wings. "Tyson!" I yelled. The lifeboats had managed to get away from the ship, but not very far. Flaming wreckage was raining down. Clarice and Annabeth would either be smashed or burned or pulled to the bottom by the force of the sinking hull. And that was thinking optimistically, assuming they got away from Scylla. Then I heard a different kind of explosion. The sound of Hermes' magic thermos being opened a little too far. White sheets of wind blasted in every direction, scattering the lifeboats, lifting me out of my free fall, and propelling me across the ocean. I couldn't see anything. I spun in the air, got clonked on the head by something hard, and hit the water with a crash that would have broken every bone in my body if I hadn't been the son of the sea god. The last thing I remembered was sinking in a burning sea, knowing that Tyson was gone forever, and wishing I was able to drown. Okay, and that's the end of chapter 11. On Monday at noon, we're going to read chapter 12. We check into Cece's Spa and Resort. Remember that Monday starts our full schedule, which will be an A day on Mondays and Wednesdays and a B day on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Please make sure to sign into your teacher's Canvas course. Remember, there is no requirement to actually show up for any classes. You just need to make sure that you do the work. Please make sure, middle schoolers, that you fill out the check-in form so we know that you're doing okay. And if you need anything, Mr. Lawler, that's me, is here at school, and you can just email me. And I hope you're well, and I hope everybody has a great weekend. Take care.